Let us pray. Almighty God, ruler of heaven and earth, to be shady, to inspire and guide all our counsels and actions, so that we may always walk in path of justice, love, charity to one another. Help us with thy grace to do those things that we The sergeant of we are plenary. No movement, please. No movement. Everybody should be seated, please. The chief whip. Make sure you keep the house in order. Good morning, honorable colleagues, and all the guests in the plenary this morning. Honorable colleagues, do we all have our votes and proceedings?
Yes.
Page 1.
Carried.
Page 2.
Carried.
Page 3.
Carried.
Page 4.
Carried.
Page 5.
Signed.
Honorable colleagues, Honorable Somtochukwu, there's the Speaker, Anambra State House of Assembly, dated 12th November. The Honorable Speaker, presentation of 2025 draft state budget of the State House of Assembly on Tuesday, 19th October 2024. I write to inform you that I shall appear before you and the Honorable Member to present the 2025 draft state budget. Therefore, kindly permit me that I may be admitted into the hallowed chambers of the State House of Assembly to perform this constitutional duty. Please accept the assurance. Colleagues, while we wait for Mr. Governor to arrive to the honorable chambers, may I use this opportunity to appreciate SHG Professor Chukwudobe, also the state chairman of our great party, Apoga, who is representing the national chairman of our great party. Also want to recognize the presence of the traditional rulers. At the appropriate time, we will mention your names. Also, to recognize the members of the former members of the State House of Assembly. Also want to recognize our former senior colleague, Honorable Chinedu Obidigwe, the former liaison members of the ESCO who are in this plenary. Majority Leader, please approach the table. Just to remind our guests who are proceeding in the plenary, absolute silence is observed, and we don't clap, don't make noise. Majority Leader, please move a motion to admit Mr. Governor and his entourage into the chambers.
Anambra, representing the good people of Ekusigo constituency. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move a motion. Business of today.
John Bosca Akebobi is my name. Member name South 2. I so second.
Aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Please, Deputy Speaker, Majority Leader, please receive Mr. Governor and let's admit him to the chambers, please. Please, Sergeant, please let all the doors be closed. Please, all the security agencies, please, let's be seated. Let everybody be seated, please. Honorable colleagues of the 8th Assembly, I'll take this opportunity to welcome the Executive Governor of Anambra State, Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo, into the chambers of State House of Assembly, and Dr. Onyekachi Ibezim. We will now observe the national anthem and Anambra anthem.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians all and proud to serve our sovereign motherland. Our flag shall be a symbol that truth and justice reign. In peace or battle, honor to our children of
the only ones to make Anambra shine. With our sweat and blood, every breath of our lives, we've trust in God, we lift our homeland high. We believe in togetherness, we'll build a land of progress. With the spirit of Anambra, with the spirit of Anambra, with the spirit of Anambra, states we love.
You can all sit down. Once again, Mr. Governor, we welcome you to 2025 dry budget presentation to Anambra State House of Assembly, and also use the opportunity to welcome all your entourage into the chambers. Also, once again, want to recognize the presence of the national chairman, who is being represented by the state chairman of our great party, the SXG, the head of service, the chief of staff. We also welcome all the former members of both state assembly and national assembly. We also recognize the presence of the ASATU national president, all of our church fathers who are present in the chambers, all the service chiefs who are present in the chambers, and all our invited guests who came to join us on this 2025 draft budget presentation by Mr. Governor to the State House of Assembly. Majority Leader, please announce the business of the day.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. Order time, Mr. Speaker. Order time is State of the Economy Address. Budget 2025. Professor Charles Soludo, CFR, the Governor of Anambra State.
Thank you. Before we invite Mr. Governor, Mr. Speaker will now present an address on this occasion. A welcome address by the Speaker of Anambra State House of Assembly on the presentation of 2025 appropriation bill to the state legislature by the Governor of Anambra State, Professor Charles Soludo, CFR, on the 19th day of November 2024. I wish to stand on the existing protocol established already. Oh, Mr. Governor, on behalf of my colleagues and staff of the state legislature, I heartily welcome you and your entourage to the Salo Chamber for the fulfillment of Section 212 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which requires the governor to lay before the House estimates of the revenue and the expenditure for the succeeding financial year, in this case, 2025. Our gathering today is therefore to witness a pivotal moment in our state's fiscal journey. Budget presentation marks the beginning of a critical process that will shape the state's future. In it will be contained the blueprint for the state development, an outline of priorities and allocations that will impact the lives of the Anambra. Mr. Governor, when you presented the 2024 budget around this time last year, you stated that your government will be driving towards a transparent e-governance system for optimum performance. And according to you, the mantra is technology everywhere, everything technology. E-governance and self-confident governor with great ideas that have been incubated for long. The unleashing of those ideas is responsible for the positive transformation we are witnessing in all sectors of the state, particularly in the areas of infrastructure and human capital development. Today, our dear state, under your watch, occupies the first position in the entire southern part of the country in the ease of doing business. It is also adjudged the first in the entire country in fiscal prudence and the top among states in leaks out of school children. I therefore salute your vision, initiative, courage, and commitment in governance. I salute the backup support of my wonderful colleagues and support staff of the State House of Assembly who have created an enabling environment through appropriate legislation and post-legislative audit or oversight. Working as a team, our dream of a livable and prosperous Anambra is fast being realized. Mr. Governor, the state is truly making progress in the right direction. Reports before me from chairmen of various committees of the State House of Assembly attest that your transformative leadership style is touching every nook and cranny of the state. Anambra at the moment is witnessing a colossal network of interconnecting solid roads as never before. Communities that were considered abandoned and no-go areas are today being linked up with well-paved roads. Public schools are being rehabilitated and revamped with the infusion of a well-qualified teachers. At the same time, the story is the same with government hospitals, and our youths are being equipped with marketable skills and take off capital under the One Youth to Skill program of your government. With respect to 2025 budget, you are here to present, Mr. Governor, a full text of the content was contained in the medium-term framework, expenditure framework, MTEF, which your office submitted to the House earlier in the year. The document, among other things, contained the basic assumptions and direction for 2025 budget. The House diligently considered and approved it, and today, you are presenting the detailed budget on the Anambra. In consonance with the legislative agenda of the 8th Assembly, the House will painstakingly but expeditiously scrutinize the budget to satisfy their development expectations. Key area of our focus in 2025 will include education, health, infrastructure, youth empowerment, and most importantly, security. Mr. Governor, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me state here that the state legislature will remain unwaveringly in the commitment to effectively discharge of its three-pronged function of representation, lawmaking, and oversight. Like the executive, our focus is on the welfare of our people, the Anambra, and that is why, apart from being in constant touch with our constituents to fill their pulse in respect to their felt needs and aspirations, we have also passed bills and resolutions on critical areas that our people clamor for, including the conduct of local government election, which is one of the cardinal promises, Mr. Governor, you made to our people during your campaign. We also expeditiously cleared and confirmed the chairman and members of the Judicial Service Commission and Civil Service Commission so that personnel determination of staff under them can be seamlessly handled. Mr. Governor, we now look forward to the constitution of House of Assembly Service Commission to complete the trinity of commissions for civil servants envisaged and provided in the Constitution. Another body that will be of immense assistance to the state legislators in their analysis and review of development documents, including MTEF and budget itself, is Legislative Budget Research Office, LIBRO, which is a very sensitive and integral part of budget analysis. Its establishment will greatly enhance the quality of legislative output in different areas of governance. There is also need to see how best to optimize the open spaces in the State House of Assembly by examining its suitability for Anambra State Legislators' quarters. This will complement the impressive landscaping, lightening, and general facelift that have taken place in the legislative complex under your administration. Mr. Governor, finally, for our people to continue to live in peace and for foreign and local investors to take full advantage of highly improved investment climate in the state, there is need to once and for all effectively contain criminals infiltrated the state from neighboring states and creating an atmosphere of insecurity. The state legislature is ever ready to do any and every lawful thing necessary to complement executive measures geared toward making the state a safe haven for our people and genuine investors. Mr. Governor, the war against insecurity is a war for all of us. It is a war for all of the Anambra. Intelligence is key to its success, and all of us have some roles to play. It's not wise, even as the government has to lead the charge. It is on this clarion call for all hands to be on decks in the fight against insecurity, and for development of the state that I now have, for the development of the state that I now have the pleasure to respectfully invite the Solution Governor of Anambra State, Professor Charles Soludo, to present the 2025 state budget. Mr. Governor, sir.
just working. Okay. Are you okay now? Okay. Mr. Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, Majority Leader, Minority Leader, all the other principal officers of the State House of Assembly, honorable members, my colleagues from the executive arm, members of the judiciary here, judges representing the chief judge of the state, our traditional rulers, our fathers, royal fathers, I can say, the other end, and the Asatu president, the other distinguished guests, can say some former members of both on the existing protocol already established by the Honorable Speaker. The Anambra Kenemo. Well, in these hollow chambers, you keep mute. Just keep Whatever we say, you keep Even when the speaker was reeling out some of those things, I expected you to at least clap. Then you But that's in the tradition, Mr. Speaker. I understand that here you don't say anything. You just keep mute. So, honorable members, the Anambra present the draft 2025 budget proposals for your kind consideration. Let me put on record that this honorable assembly has been a very strong and progressive partner in our drive to lay solid foundations for Anambra as a livable and prosperous smart megacity. History will indeed be kind to this 8th assembly for your commitment, hard work, and productivity. I recall specifically that on Tuesday, June 11th, I signed into law 11 landmark 2024. I signed into law 11 landmark bills passed by this 8th assembly covering a wide range of issues for the transformation of Anambra State. I must also not forget the landmark local government administration law passed by this House, which has laid the foundation for a transparent, accountable, developmental, and state you are progressive. 2023, I was here to present the 2024 Anambra State budget entitled Changing Gears, the Transformation Agenda Begins, end of quote, which you passed into law. We presented a modest budget of $410 billion for the fiscal year 2024, compared to $259 billion, accounted for $96 billion or 23.46. Y capital, total expenditure total about 313.9, which was then about 76.54%. As you are aware, the general macroeconomic conditions under which we have had to implement the 2024 budget have been challenging, especially with the immediate consequences of the courageous removal of fuel subsidy and the unification of the exchange rate. Inflation has continued in double digits with significant pressures on cost of living and cost of governance. Our internally generated revenue, IGR, has been performant, has stood at about 50% pro rata, and we still have resisted the temptation to borrow. Despite the macroeconomic challenges, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, we have remained focused on the ball, delivering on all the 5 fingers of the solution agenda, namely security, law and order, infrastructure and economic transformation, human capital and social agenda, governance and value system, and the 5th being the environment, which is Anambra's #1 existential threat. And in some days and weeks to come, Ndi Anambra will fully experience our zero tolerance to criminality. Together as a people, we must bond together to defeat the criminals amongst us. And those coming, as the speaker rightly said, from neighboring states and other parts of Nigeria. We have extended our free education policy up to senior secondary school, that is SS3 this year, and that means from primary, from kindergarten through nursery, through primary, through the full secondary SS3 in all public schools, now free in Anambra, and recruited an additional 3,115 teachers, bringing the total number of new teachers recruited by this administration to 8,115. There can be no school of any sort, smart or otherwise, without qualitative teachers. And we have rightly prioritized the competitive recruitment of the best teachers for our schools. We equipped some 60 secondary school laboratories with the required STEM equipment. Furthermore, we have increased the operational budgets for both our primary and secondary schools to ensure that they can deliver the quality education we promised, among other initiatives. In the health sector, we continue to share it so far. The construction, modernization, and equipment of 326 primary health centers are at advanced stages. A historic trauma center is being constructed at the Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu University Teaching Hospital. The Okpoko General Hospital has been completed and fully operational, and 4 other new general hospitals will soon be completed. Of course, this is in addition to several of the general hospitals that have been completely remodeled, remodernized. As a proactive government, we have initiated the construction of the Coordinated Wholesale Center, AOBA, that is pharmaceutical drugs and so on at AOBA. And the jinx. For many years, this project has been stalled for one thing or the other. And so the jinx will soon be broken. This is a critical step towards eliminating the issues associated with open and unregulated drug markets in the state. When completed, this concentrated wholesale center is primed to be the biggest in Africa. To ensure our hospitals are properly equipped, we have begun renovating them and equipping primary health care facilities with the necessary solar power, boreholes, and medical equipment. Additionally, we have started the construction of a new nursing school in the state, just to add to the pool of the existing one. Building the capacity and empowering our youth to shape their own future remains our priority through the One Youth, Two Skills training program. The initial 5,000 graduates of the program are now entrepreneurs, and we have launched the second phase of training over 8,700 young people in the state across various skills, setting aside some 2.53 billion to support their startup capital upon successful completion of their training. The Solution Innovation District SID has trained some 20,000 youths in 4 major tech skills and recently graduated some 1,500 youths in its Code Anambra program. We are intentionally building the human capital of the future. We are constructing the iconic SID building, our own Silicon Valley, and this iconic building sits on the 13-hectare area that's been designated to be our own Silicon Valley. That will be from the current government house down, all those buildings, including extra chambers and all the government house, all the premises down there, 13 hectares down, converting that whole place as our own Silicon Valley, where the next generation of tech giants will be nurtured. In response to the ongoing economic hardship and in compliance with the minimum wage law, our administration was one of the first states to announce and implement the new minimum wage. We have gone above and beyond by ensuring that the lowest paid worker in the state receives a minimum take-home of 70,000 naira net, not gross salary. Additionally, as a government founded on the manifesto of the All Progressives Grand Alliance with a progressive ideal to, quote, leave no one behind, we have compassionately made a tax-free cash award of 10,000 naira per month to all pensioners in the state. This government prioritizes the people, especially the welfare of workers and our pensioners. I think I must acknowledge our national chairman, unavoidably absent, and here being ably represented by the state chairman of the All Progressives Grand Alliance. Some 50,000 Akilu seedling, 50,000 Oji was seedling, 40,000 Pawpaw seedling, etc. Our goal is to distribute some 10 million of these economically beneficial trees to communities and households over the next 6 years. This initiative serves as one of our key strategies in the sustainable fight against poverty and engineering a new agro-allied industrial revolution of the Dr. Emayo style. Mr. Speaker, bears repeating and emphasis that these economic trees, a poor household that receives 10 to 15 of these economic trees, nurtures them to start fruiting in 4 or 5 years, that household will permanently out of poverty. So when we talk about sustainable poverty reduction, given this seedling, so far over 2 million seedlings distributed since this administration came on board, to households, means that hundreds of thousands of our people will be lifted out of poverty sustainably. So the vulcanizer, the truck pusher, the woman selling pepper by the roadside, who gets these seedlings, plants them, that side income that probably guarantees by today's naira and kobo, when it starts fruiting, guarantees them making over 200,000 on a monthly basis on average. As a cardinal program of this administration, in taking people, hundreds of thousands of households, families out of poverty permanently, and laying a foundation for engineering a new agro-allied industrial revolution. The ecosystem is beginning to emerge. I've known now 2 companies that are establishing firms, companies in Anambra, in readiness to begin to process the output from that sector, in terms of the all the output from the coconut and palm, and so on. Mr. Speaker, as you have also acknowledged, 310 kilometers already asphalted in just 30 months, making it an average of about 10 kilometers being asphalted with stone base, with sub-cement stabilization, stone base, and thick asphalting, almost completion execution capacity of an average of 10 kilometers per month, and with a quality that Anambra has not seen before. The Ekulobia flyover and the bus terminal are nearing completion. The dualization of the 34-kilometer federal highway from Amobia through Agolo, Ekulobia, and Oga to Imo State border, as well linking to the Onitsha-Owerri highway, will become a game changer. These projects signal our bigger agenda to fundamentally transform our transport infrastructure, as all Trunk A roads are planned for dualization, in addition to our rail transport master plan. The construction of the link bridge at Aroma, connecting the two parts of Oka, is also ongoing. We have broken the 33-year-old jinx of not having a befitting government house and governor's lodge in Oka. This is one state where the capital is in a different town and the governor lives in a different town. We've been stuck on the makeshift ad hoc government house. As you are aware, our current government house was the construction yard for the construction company that built the Enugu-Onitsha Expressway in the early 1980s. That's their parking yard. And when this state was created 33 years ago, they moved in there to the prefabricated buildings there. And for those 33 years, we have been stuck there. And where the governor lives in a different town in Amobia, was also a temporary place. But for 33 years, for whatever reason, whatever it is, that kept us to be the only state that I know that doesn't have a proper government house and a governor's lodge, that jinx is broken. And in a few weeks' time, we'll be moving over to the new government house and new governor's lodge. We expect to move in a few weeks. And for the first time in decades as well, urban and rural water schemes are back. From Okpoko, down to parts of Onitsha, down to Oka here, from Agolo, down to several other communities, to Otuocha, and so on and so forth, Aguleri and so on. Where people are now experiencing seeing pipe-borne water again running in their neighborhoods. Our vision to turn Anambra into a destination rather than a departure lounge is fully on course. The Solution Fund City, primed to be the biggest in West Africa, is quickly becoming a dream come true and will be commissioned in some weeks to come. Piling work is on steroids for the 10-story Marriott Hotel in Oka, while construction will soon begin in the 20-hectare Oka City Leisure and Entertainment Park. Work is ongoing around the Agolo Lake, and an international consultant will soon finalize the master plans for the 4 Anambra's historic tourist sites. We didn't have any plan, and we're very, very intentional about developing these tourist sites to become world-class tourist sites. Anambra is indeed, as we speak, one big construction site, and Oka, finally, is gradually looking like a state capital. The list is long, and I will not bore you. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, let me now turn to the 2025 budget proposal. From the foregoing, it is evident that there is no stopping our consistent acceleration in a steadfast execution mode. For us, it's execution, execution, execution. For sure, 2025 is a governorship election year in Anambra State. Yes, while the politicians will be focusing on politics, we will be intensely and intentionally focusing 100% on the execution of our multifaceted agenda with a deadline. Let's say politicians worry more about the next election. Statesmen worry about the next generation. While we are sitting on a seat that is supposed to be political, but our mindset and our action and the way we operate, we are really focusing on securing that future for the next generation. Consequently, we have titled this budget Changing Gears 2.0. We're not relenting 1 second, with emphasis on acceleration and execution. The proposed budget size, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, is 606 billion 991,846,118 naira for the fiscal year 2025. You can say with approximately 607 billion. And this represents a compared to 2024 budget of 410 billion, this represents a 48% increase. Recurrent expenditures account for about 140 billion, and year on year, the growth of about 45% year on year growth. While capital expenditure is 468 billion, with a year on year growth of about 49% budget size. While recurrent expenditures account for 23%. It is still this same ratio for the 2024%. The budget deficit is expected at about 148.3 billion, and that's about 24% of the budget, compared to 30% of the budget that we'll have for 2024. As in 2024 budget, the deficit is expected to be funded through revenue growth or borrowing from financial institutions. But, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, so far in 2024, 2023, and 2024, we did not borrow to finance budget deficits, even though both budgets contain significant deficit to fund the deficit. Relative to 2024, several key sectors are seeing significant increases in the proposed budget. The administrative sector, we have an increase of about 45.5%. The economic sector, which has, humongous, 51.3%. The social sector by 82.7%. Education by 101. This is the percentage increases for these various sectors. I think no surprise that education is the one that has more than 100% increase from this year's budget. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, we are building upon the iconic projects initiated in 2024 while introducing new ones. Infrastructure and economic transformation, as well as human capital development, remain the key kernel of this administration. And it is significant that at least 70% of the budget is allocated to these sectors. That is infrastructure, economic transformation, plus human capital. When you pull the entire budget, progressing the development of 3 new cities, the Oka 2.0, Anisha 2.0, and the new industrial city. The Anambra mixed-use industrial city master plan and the railway master plan feasibility study have been completed. Afrexim Bank and African Development Bank remain committed to supporting the development of the industrial city. We will continue to enhance the ease of doing business in Anambra, which will rank among the best in the country, to ensure the state becomes the preferred destination for investors. We recently concluded the second edition of the Anambra Investment Summit and Invest 2.0, where major companies and institutions signed memorandum of understanding with Anambra. Investment summits are not the usual ones. In our investment summits, we close deals. We plan to build the largest shopping mall in Africa. Anambra is a commercial hub, and develop leisure centers throughout the state. Recently, we invested in the equipment to handle night landing capabilities at Chinua Achebe International Airport, and we will complete the unfinished business with respect to the airport in the coming year. Several areas, we don't have even a VIP lounge now. There is no protocol lounge. There's no, quite a whole lot of things still need to be completed there. And that is can really feel the solution touch. We will also make investments in our mass transit systems and marine transport, including buses, jetties, and boats. Additionally, we will continue our efforts to extend electricity, to underserved communities. We have drafted a regulatory framework to encourage private sector investment in the Anambra electricity market under the National Electricity Amendment Act of 2023. The Anambra State Electricity Policy and Bill have been drafted and are currently under review by this Honorable House. We will keep expanding our water projects to ensure that every part of Anambra State has access to clean water. Our focus on human capital will continue, with education and health receiving the preeminent attention they deserve. Our goal remains to provide free and qualitative education for every child in Anambra to enable them to succeed. We will maintain our free education policy and will continue to pay the newly agreed operational costs for schools. As, if I may just say a word on this, because, Mr. Speaker, you did make this point, that Anambra currently has the lowest out-of-school children in the entire, among the entire, the 36 states and FCT. But let me also tell you that some study that just completed about a month or so ago. And that point is that they did a survey of these out-of-school children. And one interesting finding is that they found that the out-of-school children who are of Anambra origin is about 0. The out-of-school children we find are really those who have come into Anambra from other places. For Anambra indigent is almost 0 in Anambra. We are transforming 22 secondary schools into smart schools, with many more to follow in the new year, setting a standard for what an ideal school should be in Anambra. Of course, I would not fail to mention that, and what was said before, as part of our own agenda, is that in terms of education, the first priority is having qualitative teachers. There cannot be any school, a school of any sort, whether smart or anything, without having qualitative teachers. And that's why we've broken the record of being the first, governor that came into office, and within the first few months, an assumption of office, prioritize competitive recruitment of teachers, where we don't ask people where you come from. And from about 8,115 teachers that we have recruited newly since the last 30 months, even far less since we assumed office, we understand that in terms of state-by-state distribution, they cover about 18 states of Nigeria, because the interest of the Anambra child is to be taught by the best teacher in the world, not by the incompetent teacher from his village. And that's why, apologies to any of you who may have been bringing, wanting to bring somebody from your village to be recruited as teacher and was not taken, because for us, the best, only the best, is good enough for Anambra schools. Can't have smart schools without smart teachers. Indeed, you can have learning outcomes can be high, even when the children are being taught under a tree with an excellent teacher in front of them. But you can have best equipped school with all the air conditioning and all the state-of-the-art equipment. It's garbage in, garbage out. If you have a moron as a teacher in front of the children, learning outcomes will be 0. And for us in Anambra, learning outcomes is priority. And that's why we're learning quite a lot of emphasis on building the capacity of our teachers. And so, we will continue the aggressive upgrade of infrastructure in our primary schools through the teachers. We'll smile like never before. As you can see, the increase in the budgetary allocation is over 100%. We will also continue to support mission schools, especially the return mission schools. So far, government spends over $1.2 billion a month to pay the salaries of government teachers that are deployed to these return mission schools, excluding the pensions of teachers that retired from these schools. These subsidies to mission schools help to reduce the cost of primary and secondary education to the parents in Anambra State. We have set up a committee headed by the Secretary to State Government to work with the missions to see in what other ways government can to ensure access to qualitative education to every child in Anambra. The needs of the poor and vulnerable. We are continuing the program of this seedling distribution, and we're expecting that over 100,000 households will receive 10 or more seedlings of coconut, palm, okwa, pawpaw, soursop, and other crops per household as we did in 2020. Across the 326, Onyaga and 1 year, leave no one behind. Leave no one behind. Be your brothers and sisters' keeper. That is the motto of our party, the All Progressives Grand Alliance. And we are focused on this, to build a society where no one is left behind, where everybody has a stake. In 2025, we plan to expand our 1U 2 Skills program to accommodate more youths and empower them accordingly. We're also establishing a 1 million digital tribe, scaling our digital skill training program through the Solution Innovation District. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I don't want to bore you much further with all the details in the budget, necessary action. However, I would like to point out that the size of the budget, which might sound, you hear 607 billion, sounds big, maybe in nominal terms. That might be what we call money illusion, the economics, the numbers. Money is what money can buy. In real terms of purchasing power, or even in US dollars, this budget still amounts to a mere $357 million. And when you compare it to the actual expenditures as per the audited accounts in previous years, then you will appreciate that this budget, even though it might sound big in nominal terms, it's actually very small. For example, the actual expenditure in 2008, in dollar terms, when you convert the spending in naira by the average exchange rate by the central bank for that year, you have 2008 was 517 million US dollars. 2013 was about 1.1 billion US dollars. 2014 about 1.2 billion US dollars. 2015 was about $685 million. And 2021 was 329 million US dollars. Okay? Comparatively, the budget we just presented to you, even by the average exchange rate, is about 357 million US dollars. What is before you? Just estimates. So even if we execute 100% of it, it will still be a fraction of what was spent in some years past. 1 year's budget, 1 year here, you hear 2013, actual expenditure about 1.1 billion. This budget will be less than probably one-third, less than one-third of that, so to speak. This is even more so given the humongous increases in the prices of basic inputs in construction and governance. Government vehicles, as you all experience, will still have to be fueled at over 1,000 naira per liter compared to less than 100 naira some years ago. Or cement, which cost a few hundred naira some years past, and even up to 3,000 naira per bag. But you still have to build, all the construction work, you still have to do the drainages, you still have to pay for bitumen and aggregates that have gone up by 300–400% and so on. So while all the inputs into our governance process have increased by hundreds of percent, but revenue has not increased proportionately in nominal or real terms. And that's the challenge that we have. But, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, for us there are no excuses or complaints. We apply for the job and must deliver dividends of democracy to our people despite all the constraints. So far, even with a fraction of resources available some years ago, we are determined to deliver multiples of results as produced in those years. As stated in the 2024 budget, we will only borrow on two strict criteria. First, if we borrow at all, it must be concessional loan, and B, it must be allocated to projects with a clear plan for repayment in the future. We're not going to borrow to consume. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, funding the budget will remain a challenge. I've discussed this with you sometime when we have met about our IGR. But frugality is our watchword, and the mantra will remain doing more with less. Our government has been rated in number one state in fiscal transparency and enhanced to bare bones. We have projected an average monthly revenue to bare bones. We have projected an average monthly revenue of 5 billion, which should be modest, which will result in a total IGR of about 60 billion. Currently, we're averaging only about 2.5 per month, which is well below that should not be generating less than 10 to 15 billion monthly by some estimates, some experts. In the coming weeks, there will be renewed effort to strengthen our revenue generation capacity. We hope to maximize the strategic partnerships with the federal government, the international community, and the private sector communities. We commend many communities and stakeholders in the Anambra project who are investing heavily in their communities, constructing roads, improving schools and hospitals, and co-funding security. Together, we will continue to build the big tent. To demonstrate our commitment to working with the development partners, the state has allocated some 5 billion as counterpart funding in the 2025 budget. Let me also express our sincere appreciation to the members of the Solution team, the esteemed members of the 8th Assembly, the judiciary, the public and civil servants, our teachers, our security agencies, and all stakeholders for their dedicated service to our homeland. I thank our community leaders, traditional rulers, religious leaders, members of the private sector, the international community, the federal government, the media, NGOs, youths, women, and students for their invaluable support. We will never take your contributions for granted. Your continuing support will be critical in implementing the 2025 budget. I want to assure you, as I have always done, that every kobo entrusted in our palm will be judiciously used to provide value to you. You have put your trust in us to serve you. My deputy, Dr. Nyekatu Ibezi, Deputy Governor, I almost, this one is 1 + 1 = 1. So when I came, I forgot that you are here as a Deputy Governor. You've You've entrusted both of us, Dr. Onyeka Bezim and I, and the executive branch, you and the legislative branch, and the judiciary, to serve you. And together with our solution team, we will continue to work tirelessly to fulfill that commitment. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, as I end this speech, let me remind us that this budget is not merely a set of figures and allocations. It represents your hopes, aspirations, and the collective vision for our future. Our agenda is fundamentally about shaping a better tomorrow, not only for ourselves, but also for the generations unborn. We are engaged in critical efforts that expand beyond our immediate needs and concerns. With this budget, we are laying the groundwork for a thriving and sustainable future for many generations to come. Let us join hands today, and as we look ahead to 2025, let us fully embrace the idea that we can and will achieve our goals together. The journey towards progress has only just begun, and I am excited to join hands with you to witness the remarkable transformation we can make as a united force. Yes, all of you here are politicians, but I urge you to drop the hat of politics and wear the garb of statesmanship. Politicians worry only about the elections. Statesmen worry about the next generation. Let us put the gap as statesmen and worry about the future generations of Anambra, generations yet unborn, that in the end, when we all pass and leave this stage, those coming decades to come, may Anambra continue to win, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you, Mr. Governor. Please, we now at this point request Mr. Governor to kindly lay before this House the 2025 estimate budget. Thank you, Mr. Governor. Please, we are still plenary section. Everybody should sit down, please. Thank you, Mr. Governor, for this wonderful state address to the Anambra and the laying of the 2025 draft budget before this Honorable Assembly. Please, Majority Leader, please move a motion for the first reading of the appropriation bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I still remain Honorable Sir Ofademiken, a member representing the good people of Ekusugo constituency. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move a motion for the first reading of the Anambra State Appropriation Law 2024, a bill for a law to provide for the sum of 600 6,991,840,180 naira 16 kobo for the services of government of Anambra State of Nigeria for the year ending 31st December 2025 and for other related purposes. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. John Bosco Ake will be my name, member Neu South 2. I so second the motion, ably moved by leader of majority.
Honorable colleagues, a bill, Anambra State Appropriation Law 2025, a bill for a law to provide for the sum of 606,991,849,118 naira 16 kobo for services of the government of Anambra State of Nigeria for the year ending 31st December 2025 and related purposes. Those in support for the first reading say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Mr. Clark.
Mr. Speaker, sir, a bill for a law to provide for the sum of 606,991,849,118 naira 16 kobo for the services of the government of Anambra State of Nigeria for the year ending 31st December 2025 and for related purposes. First reading, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Anambra State Appropriation Law 2025, first reading taken. Honorable colleagues, we have a standing order, and it is improper for a member to say negative. It's very improper. I want to put this on record. Majority Leader, please take note.
Noted.
Yeah. At this point, I really want to, before making further announcement, the Chairman, House Committee on Finance and Appropriation, please, can you?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Right, Honorable Ejiko Kechukwu, I speak with the mandate given to me by the people of Anochatu constituency. Mr. Speaker, thank you for this wonderful opportunity given to me for a vote of thanks to Mr. Governor for a wonderful draft estimate laid bare before the maize today. Mr. Speaker, as usual, as normal practice, you see, whenever I'm called upon to give this vote of thanks, I always make 1 or 2 points as it concerns the takeaways of the budget as presented by Mr. Governor. First of all, Mr. Governor, once again, I want to welcome you on behalf of my distinguished honorable colleagues to the Hallowed Chamber of the State Assembly. Mr. Governor, your doggedness and the actions that you've been, or the dividends of democracy that you've been delivering to the people of Anambra State are conspicuously seen, even by the blind. So I want to commend you and urge you to do more. The key takeaways in this draft estimate for the fiscal year coming 2025, Mr. Speaker, we can see some increases, major increases in the IGR projections for 2025. Mr. Governor highlighted them during his budget speech, one of which is the IGR that is expected to rise from 50 billion to 60 billion in the coming fiscal year. Then the FAC is expected to also rise from 68.7 billion to 86.7 billion. Then VAT is where, even in the H1 of the running fiscal year, the VAT increased majorly, and and we believe that of the full year. So that is a very good and huge improvement in the budget of the state. And I believe that the fiscal, the reality and the prudent management of the fiscal resources of Anambra State led to Anambra being ranked first by Budget IT in fiscal management for the first time in the whole 36 states and FCT. Other takeaways, the recurrent expenditure, we can see that the increment in the salaries, the minimum wage is captured from 30.1 billion to 41.7 billion. So from there we know that the salaries of our civil servants and others are taken care of already. So Mr. Governor, on behalf of the civil servants of Anambra State, I say thank you very much. Then going to the capital estimate, Mr. Speaker, there are lots of major increases in the capital estimate of the state for the fiscal year coming 2025. You look at the social reorientation. This aspect of the economy will play a vital role in capturing our social values once again. And this issue of insecurity, I believe, will be tackled majorly through this social reorientation, which increases from 1.5 billion to 5.7 billion in the coming fiscal year. Then health is another area that we see humongous increase, from 16.7 billion to 27.8 billion. What it means is improvement in the health sector, that our people will stop traveling abroad for health issues. Then educational and skill enhancement is an area Mr. Governor elaborated during his budget speech. This is a whopping 44.8 billion is earmarked for this section, as against 16.7 billion captured in the present fiscal year. What it entails is that the smart schools and the improvement totally of the education sector. You see, Anambra has always been performing in the education sector, and they will continue to pursue us, and we will continue to stay ahead. Then environment. Okay, let me not touch environment first. Power. Power is another area that Mr. Governor, in fact, once you go through this, the summary of this budget, you will notice where this changing gear, or this gear, changing gear 2.0 just yesterday. We were discussing this issue inside the Speaker's office. Mr. Speaker was asking us what will be the acronym for this year's budget. And we were just looking. And somebody, I wouldn't want to mention his name, said that it will be gear 2. And today when you came, as soon as the budget, a copy of the budget was given to me, I looked at the caption, and it is changing gears 2.0, which is literally translated to gear 2. And if we are moving at this pace with gear 2, I wonder when we get to the 6th gear, we will be flying. Mr. Governor, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, you see petroleum and the mineral resources, where my friend, Honorable Commissioner Ifanya and Professor Febu, both of them are steering the ship in this regard. It shows that Mr. Governor is headed somewhere. He is planning to invest in solid minerals that are scattered in Anambra State. And because of this, there is a major increase from 654.5 million to 4.6 billion. It is hundreds of % increase. Roads, I am not surprised here. Honestly, I'm not surprised, because since the inception of this administration, Mr. Governor has shown us that he has declared state of emergency on our roads. And this is not different, because 144 billion was budgeted for this present budget, and the 203.5 billion for the coming fiscal year. Transport. Mr. Governor, okay, let me not touch transport first. Other infrastructure You talked about airports, you talked about hotel, new cities, and here we have about 67 billion as against 44 billion. In fact, the time has come when we'll be receiving that VIP treatment at the Anambra State Airport, deservedly to us. Thank you once again. But Mr. Governor, having touched all these areas that you have improved drastically, let me quickly point out a few places that when we get to the committee stage, we will see how to panel beat it a little, not much, a little to give still the best in the Anambra. Mr. Governor, when you look at environmental improvement, there is a marginal or slight decrease from 4.3 billion to 3.9 billion. And we all know that our environment are still not yet where it is supposed to be. So this decrease, maybe when I discuss with the Commissioner for Budget and Economic Planning, she will tell me the reasons why this decrease. Then 1 billion naira, I was expecting an increment, especially since my brother is part of the team, Honorable Ikobi Ejiofor. I was expecting something humongous for him to make sure that water is everywhere in Anambra State. Finally, Mr. Governor, management from 5.6 billion to 4.1 billion. And I heard you when you said that you intend to improve. So this decrease, honestly, anyway, it is not yet ended until it is ended. Finally, Mr. Governor, first of all, we must, a colleague of mine dropped an information for me, and he thought I was going to overlook it, but no, I won't overlook that concerns us. So the issue of our complex, we must thank you for the facelift that is ongoing. But you see, like Oliver Twist, we still want some more. And it will be important to note, Mr. Governor, that was captured in this year's budget, and I'm optimistic that before the year runs out, the foundation will be laid for that project to take off. Because, you know, we don't have standard office for public accounts and LIBRO, Legislative Budget Office. And that one, I will benefit personally. So, so please, I will ask that since the revenue of this year is performing, that it should replicate to House of Assembly too, those projects that we are expecting, the ones that we've not gotten. Mr. Governor, you are, with your magic wand, we are expecting you to come and do some more magic for us. And finally, I want to thank you, Mr. Governor, once again, for giving us hope in our state. And we can't ask for anything better or anything more. What you've given to us is what will be very beneficial for the people of Anambra State. And we know that by the end of the 2025 fiscal year, Anambra will be headed to the Dubai-Taiwan maxim that you promised us. Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, this is that time of the year again when we sacrifice our time and we turn our backs to our families and our loved ones to dedicate ourselves once again to this onerous task of the bilateral discussions with all the MDAs and the various committees of the House to make sure that the best of the budget is given to the people of Anambra State. I urge us all to once again dedicate our times. We've been doing it before, and I believe we'll still do it again. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for finding me worthy for this vote of thanks to Mr. Governor. Thank you once again. Odenibo, no, no, no. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Ejike Okechukwu, the Chairman of Finance and Appropriation Committee. Mr. Governor, this year budget defense, yesterday I was informed by the Chairman of the Finance and Appropriation that for us to actually achieve our agenda to make sure that we work on this draft estimate and possibly pass it this year. That you have talked to your executive members. They informed me yesterday that most times your ESCO meetings ends around 9:10. And I think for us to achieve this, the committee and members of this assembly will work in the night for us to achieve this. And we appeal to all the MDX, if you fall or if you are scheduled to appear before these chambers by 7 or 8 or 9 in the night, rest assured that your security is assured within these premises. All we want is for us to do the best from the Anambra. And we have a minimal time to do this. Mr. Governor, please, the members of this 8th Assembly who gladly want to have a picture after this plenary, and I will be glad and request Mr. Governor for a tour around the complex to see the state of ongoing work in the chambers. I'm also to inform you that budget presentation is a ceremonial day in this assembly. And after the plenary, we are inviting you for a little refreshment. So we'll ask you to seek just a few moments of your time to be in my office with your deputy, the representative of the chief judge, the national chairman being represented by the state chairman, the SAG, the head of service, the former speakers and former deputy speakers, our Lord bishops and our fathers, traditional rulers, to please have a few minutes with Mr. Speaker in his office. And all members of the 8th Assembly and former members of our great party and former honorable members and former National Assembly members and members of the State ESCO to please come up to my speaker conference room. The permanent secretaries and former clerks and the ASTA2 presidents and all the PGs, the security men and other invited guests, please, the main building lobby will be a point to serve. Please. Mr. Governor, I want to use this medium to appreciate you for setting up a cancer center in Anambra State. I really want to appreciate you on doing that from the Anambra. Most science in the Anambra moves to Lagos State, moves to Enugu State for them to get treatment on cancer. So that's a wonderful thing you have done to the Anambra, and God will continue to bless you, Mr. Governor. Before we move for adjournment, I want to also appreciate my colleagues for our patience today and ask you that immediately after plenary and after the program, please, I want us to meet in my conference room after our guests must have departed, and also to solicit for members to try to be here tomorrow for us to have the second reading of this appropriation bill so that we commit it to the committee to do justice to it. Please, the exit pattern for today, Mr. Speaker and Deputy Speaker will lead the exit pattern, while Mr. Governor and Deputy Governor will follow suit. The principal officers of the 8th Assembly and other members of the 8th Assembly will join in the exit pattern, and members of the State Executive Council and other invited guests. On this note, I call the Majority Leader to please announce the next item on our agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I still remain Honorable Sir Fodemiken, member representing the good people of Ekusugo constituency. Mr. Speaker, Order 11. Order 11, Mr. Speaker, is a special item, Mr. Speaker. Order 11 is adjournment. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move a motion of adjournment for this House to adjourn and reconvene tomorrow, Wednesday, 28th November, by 10 a.m., the year 2024. I so move.
Please, Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. John Bosco Ake will be Nnewi South 2. I so second.
Those in support that the House do not adjourn, say nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it. Please, national anthem.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear, in brotherhood. Our flag shall be a symbol that truth and justice reign. In peace or battle honored, and this we count as gain. To hang on to our children a banner without stain. O God of all creation, grant this our one request. Help us to build a nation where no man is oppressed, and so with peace and plenty, Nigeria may be blessed.
Picture on the cannot go down now.